Hello, my name is Sammy, also known as Sustar on DeviantArt, and today I'm going to teach you how to draw eyes. Now, these are the 6 basic types of eyes that you see. The first one is sort of generic in a way, and as you can see, there's like this sort of eyelash thing going on. The next one is sort of seen on young girls and basically girls in general, because it allows you to have big and emotional eyes. And when you're drawing yourself, don't worry, that's why you sketch first instead of just drawing outright. The lower line is to make sure that you know how high to make the pupil. The next shape is sort of inspired by Bleach, mainly by Ulquiorra Cipher. And it's usually thicker on the side and then tapered downwards. Now this shape is shaped like a squashed hexagon, or a shape that has 6 sides. I draw the first 4 sides, and then I draw the bottom side just a little bit lower than where it would normally connect in the hexagon. The next shape is the way I drew Magneto's eye in my drawing of him around age 28, and you can find that on my DeviantArt account. The link will be in the little doobly-doo at the bottom. The next shape, I had trouble finding a 6th shape, actually. Sorry about that, that was my mom's phone. Okay, here I finally got to the shape I was thinking about. This is the type of eye I used to draw a lot of, but not as much anymore. It looks sort of cat-like. So these are the 6 basic shapes. This one is sort of generic, you can find it anywhere. This shape, mainly for girls. This shape, Bleach-inspired Ulquiorra. This is how I drew Wolverine's eye. It's very flat. Magneto eye. And cat-like eye. Okay, we're going to be focusing on the top left, the generic all-around anime eye. Now, since I'm doing this digitally, I don't get the taper at first until I minimize the endpoint to 0%. And don't worry, you can go over and over with digital, but I would definitely suggest a steady hand when you're doing it in the traditional form with an ink pen. Here I really like to use Paint Tool Psi because it gets rid of unnecessary bends when you do line art, and you can also adjust the lines by nodules. And sometimes it will take several attempts to get the right shape. I normally don't close it off and then color it in until I'm happy with the shape. And that's sort of a given for a lot of artists. Now, the lower lid eye, this one you have to make sure that it lines up well with the lower lid eye to the right, or the tail you would see on the top line. And also it would sort of match up to create sort of a football or lemon shape. Now, here we're going to show you how to see what pupil shapes work, or iris shapes. The first one is the sort of generic big circle. This one you see a lot of, and you can see by the space of the white next to it that it's very equal. If you want it to look left or right, you draw it further to the left or further to the right. Now, if you want it to look up, you will see that there is a departure of the bottom of the iris and the bottom of the lower lid. Now, I use thinner irises to denote sort of an evil or conniving character. Now, today I'm just going to show you the basic generic eye. So there would go unsaid the generic iris. Now once you get the iris shape the way you want it to be, I suggest inking it. And it may take several tries if you do it digitally, and you really need a steady hand if you're doing it traditionally. And now to show you the pupil. Okay, after I get my pencil color out for this, with this main pupil shape, you generally see that with the work of Hiromu Arakawa, who did Fullmetal Alchemist. It creates a very intense eye. And sometimes the pupil can be bigger. It all depends on personal taste. And I prefer this pupil, by the way. Now I see a lot of artists do this type. Basically, a combination of the pupil and the upper lid shade on the pupil. Just as I shaded in there for you. You can see the basic general shape. It sort of looks like, I guess if you open your mouth and look down your throat, you would see that little hanging down flap thing. It's called the uvula. So it's sort of shaped like that. I feel, though, that this shape is sort of a cop-out, because you're not actually making it look realistic, but that's just my opinion. Now you ink the general that shape. And it will take several attempts, as I've said before. As they say, third time's the charm. Now this is what it looks like without the pencil sketching around it, or after you have erased in traditional. Now I select those shapes so that I can fill them in with black. This is generally the way you'd see them in manga. It creates a very stark contrast. And generally this is the point where I fill in the eyelash line and the lid line. Thank you for watching, and catch me on the next video when I teach you how to shade.